As we inch closer and closer to the release of Martin Scorsese's crime epic, more details about the film are being revealed every day. We've had the trailer, now we know when the film is coming out, so the only major question left is how long is the film going to be? And according to the New York Film Festival, very long. The Irishman is set to clock out after a whopping 3.5 hours, making it the longest movie of Martin Scorsese's career, half an hour longer than his now second longest film, The Wolf of Wall Street. The film festival have put in a little disclaimer saying that the film's running time is subject to change, but it's unlikely at this stage. Scorsese isn't a stranger to long movies. Most of his films, like Goodfellas and The Departed, are usually around 2.5 hours long. Then you have a set of films like The Aviator and Casino that almost hit the 3-hour mark, which should give you an indication of just how long The Irishman is, that it's longer than Casino, longer than The Wolf of Wall Street, and, in fact, the same length as another certain long gangster movie starring Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. It is definitely in the bracket of an epic. Heck, it's closer in length to Once Upon a Time in America than it is to Goodfellas. Of course, after the film comes out, we may feel that maybe it could have used trimming, maybe it was too long in certain places, but for now, I think it's excellent news. The longer the better, I'd say. I joked in the past about wanting this film to be 4 hours, 5 hours long, but this length is much more than we could have hoped for. After all, you don't want to learn that there's a Scorsese gangster movie starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci coming out, only to find out it's only a lean 1.5 hour flick. You want it to be as long as it can possibly be, because we won't be seeing these actors in the same film again. In some ways, the movie's length is not even surprising, because the film has a lot to cover in terms of the story. The film will cover decades and has many events to get through. You have Frank Sheeran's time during World War II, his life back in the US after the war, joining the mob, meeting and working for Jimmy Hoffa, Hoffa's court trials, etc, etc. There's so much to do, and it was always going to be a lengthy film, but this news, that it's the longest of Scorsese's filmography, is very exciting. I know many people are disappointed in the recent revelation that the movie will not get a wide release, but let me ask you something. Do you really think The Irishman would have been 3.5 hours long if Scorsese had made it with Paramount or any other film studio? I don't think so. I'm sure he'd be forced to cut it down to a more cinema-friendly length, maybe having to shave off at least half an hour, which would mean entire scenes removed from the film. Seeing as though the film has such a huge budget, film studios would want it as short as possible, so they could get more showings in and make back as much money as possible. They refused to make the film full stop, let alone make it shorter. This is one of the benefits of the movie being a Netflix picture, in that Scorsese has no pressure to make it short and has control over its length. And of course for us, when we need the loo, we can simply pause the film. I think it's excellent news, a mouth-watering prospect that the film is going to be as long as it is. Scorsese is pulling absolutely no punches with this film, and they're going all out with the cast, the budget, the scale, and now, as we know, the runtime. The longer runtime means more Pacino, more Pesci, more De Niro, and that can only be a good thing. Thanks for watching.